Hi guys, welcome back to the Codefreak channel. Freak out as you code. So we have learned a bit about CSS grid in the last video. So now let's continue and let's try to learn some more things here. So now what we will do first is we will try to put some gaps here, the row gaps and the column gaps. So let's try to do that. So the function that we use or the property that we use is grid row gap. Yeah, so grid row gap, you can give in some spacing like let's give in 5 px of spacing. Yeah, let's check it out. So you can see that you got 5 px of spacing here. The color as such is because of the background color, so let's change the background color to black so that we can see better, and let's put in some color for each of these items. So background color, let's make it, yeah, this color. Perfect. So now let me refresh this whole screen. Yeah, so you can see that the gap is in black color right now. Perfect. So now what I'll do is I'll show you another property, that is grid column gap. So grid column gap. Yeah, so we can give again 5 px of spacing maybe. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, so that's how you give spacing there. So I can even give a bit bigger or more spacing, so maybe 15 px. Let's check it out. Yeah, so you can see that you're actually getting gaps in between the rows and the columns using these grid row gap and grid column gap properties in the outer class or the outer element that we have used here. All right, so there is a shorthand for putting gaps. So now let's learn about the shorthand. So the shorthand is grid gap. So it is self-explanatory. So let's put in same 5 px and 15 px. Perfect. So let's refresh it. You may be wondering that you're not getting any space on the outside part of it. So for that you can actually put in some padding. So I'll do that. Padding. I'll put in padding of 10 px on all the sides for now. Let's refresh it. Yeah, so you can see that. So it looks quite good. So now we have learned about the grid gap. So we will go ahead and learn about one more property, that is called justify content. So there are 6 different ways you can use justify content. So let us look at all of them one by one. So the first way which we will check out is called space around. So before we go ahead with that, we want to use auto here instead of FRs so that we can actually see how the output works. So that's how it works. So let me put in 3 autos and let me refresh the file. Yeah, so you can see that when you space around, so it gives the space around each of these elements based on the padding you have given here. So if I change this padding to say 50 px, so you can see that automatically the spacing also changes accordingly. So let us just get back to what we saw before. Yeah, so I'll again refresh it back to that. So now let's try out the other ones. The next one is space evenly. So now let's look at what this does. So you can see that this gap here is equal to the gap here is equal to the gap here, and that's equal to the gap here. So that's what is the functionality of space evenly. Then we have space between. So let's look at that. You can see that there is space between these elements and there is no space on the left side and the right side. The space as such is because of the padding that we have put in here. So now let us look at the other last 3 properties. So the first one is center. So let me save it. Puts all of them in the center. That's something which you can see clearly. So you can put it at the left, that is the start, or you can put it at the end also. So let's see the start. So this is how you put it at the starting part, and then even you can put it at the end also. So let me show you that one also. So you can put it at the end. So let me refresh it. So it's at the end. So why I wanted to put grid gap and justify content together was that so that you can see properly how you can use justify content as such to make the spacing, or also you can use the grid gap as such to make the spacing based on however you want in your web page. So let's put this back to 1FR and stuff like that. So yeah, and let's see what happens now. Alright, let me save it. Yeah, so you can see that when you put fractions as such, it the grid gap as such takes preference or stuff like that. But when you put auto, it automatically uses justify content. So it doesn't matter whether you put grid gap up or justify content down. So you can check out all those permutations and combinations, then come to a conclusion that when you want to use justify content, you have to put auto in the grid template columns. And then when you don't want to use justify content and you want to use grid gap, you need to put auto. So that's it for this video, guys, and we'll meet up in the next video where we'll try to make something more interesting and elaborate so that we can learn more. So we will try to make some header, footer. So let me just show that to you. So this is what we will try to make at the end of the next video. All right. Goodbye. Bye. Subscribe, like, and share, and comment.